Welcome to the Give Me Liberty podcast, where we have a special edition right here at Liberty University with the founder and president of Students for Life, Kristan Hawkins. Welcome to Liberty's campus.
It's so great to be here. I love coming to Liberty every time. I woke up this morning and was like, the Blue Ridge.
Yes.
This is America.
It is America. It's America. That's what I love about it. So, by the way, how many times have you been to Liberty?
I want to say this is probably number 6 or number 7.
Wow. Okay. Fantastic. You're about
It gets
to go.
bigger every time.
Yes.
There's always a new building.
Yes, sir. We're still building.
It's amazing.
So you're about to go speak in front of like 10,000 students.
Yeah, not nervous at all.
Not nervous at all. You don't look nervous. You're a pro. I noticed you're holding a Celsius. Okay, so tell me about this. So this is where I'm totally ignorant. You were talking a little bit about it off camera.
No ad sponsorship
Right.
here,
Yeah,
by
this
the
is not
way.
paid placement, but Celsius.
We're open to those deals.
Yes.
No, it's just an energy drink that's supposed to be somewhat good for you because it has a bunch of vitamins in it.
Okay.
My staff saw me at one point. I got so desperate, I started drinking those sugar-free Red Bulls, and my staff is so loving. We're like, no, you're going to kill yourself. Stop that. And so they're like, here, Kristan. And they, one of my new team members, I remember Savannah, we were on a college campus, and she went and got different flavors. And she was like, here, try. Which one?
Try.
So it's the peach vibe for me.
Yeah.
But yes, I don't do coffee, and I wish I truly wish I could do coffee. My life would be so much simpler. You can get it anywhere you're at.
Yeah.
Me, I'm always like running around airports going, do you have Celsius here? Is there Celsius here? Is it warm or is it cold?
Yes.
But no, I'm in good company because Speaker Mike Johnson's a big fan of Celsius. There was a big article on at the Hill this weekend about how the poor Celsius delivery man on the Hill can't keep his vending machines stocked. They keep going out. So it's cool now. I'm in with the cool kids.
I'll say this, so that is cool. If people learn to drink coffee, learn to drink it black.
That's what my husband says too.
You can take it anywhere.
That's right.
It's advice for young men and women both. Like, you will be low maintenance wherever
That's right.
you go.
And I'm high maintenance, so here you go.
No,
there's a difference.
Well, listen, I am so thrilled that you're here. So thankful for your ministry, for your organization, what you guys do, especially inspiring students, the next generation. We're taking 1,000 students to the March for Life. And there's so much chatter, discussion in 2025 about the future of the pro-life movement. Where are we going? Yep. 2.5 years now since Dobbs, the Dobbs decision. Hard to believe we made it this far. Things that we didn't probably think were possible. And then there's a lot of distractions, I think, in the pro-life movement too. Like, right, there's factions and different people who are vying for different things. Some that I think are completely unrealistic, and I think others that are like, hey, no, I think that's achievable. So I would just starting out.
Just small, easy questions.
Small, easy questions. Okay, what's your favorite color? No, where do you see new administration coming in? We saw on the HHS website, there was an abortion section shut down.
Yep.
There was a little bit of chatter. We had posted about it. I think Life News had released a story, maybe prematurely, that that some folks had been pardoned.
Yes.
And
they have not been.
Had not been. Let's talk a little bit about that. New administration, what do we have to look to?
Yeah, I was obviously at home. I chose not to go to inauguration, which I was very thankful for, even though I was getting a little jealous in the days leading. I'm like, maybe I should have gone. And then I saw how cold it was, and my friends were all texting me of like, I'm sitting in the ball ground, with a mile long trying to get into Gala. So I made the right decision being home. And it was amazing to see my 4 kids who, we don't watch cable news. We don't really have cable, but they know what's going on. They see mom on, TV or Instagram. All 4 of my kids came down from their homeschool and watched the swearing in. And my second son, Bear, had the YMCA queued up on his iPad as soon as it was over, and they started dancing. So that was way better than going to any inaugural ball. But, so there was great joy, I think, amongst Christians, believers, pro-lifers at that swearing in. But there's also the practical reality that during the campaign trail, on the campaign trail, President Trump backtracked some of the things he had said recently in recent years about the pro-life movement. Mainly, changing kind of his position to saying, well, now that Roe's reversed, it's simply a state's issue, which I deeply disagree with him on. It is a state issue, it's a federal issue, it's a local issue, it's all levels. Right. And that's what the Dobbs decision said, right? The Supreme Court justices said, we now return the decision of abortion to the people and their representatives. It didn't say state reps, it said representatives. But while I disagree with him on that, there is much we can find common ground to work with this new Trump administration to do. If he truly believes that he doesn't want to see abortion a federal issue, well then you got to stop paying for it. As long as federal tax dollars are paying abortion vendors, whether overseas or Planned Parenthood here in America, it's a federal issue. And I think the biggest thing President Trump and his administration, starting with DOGE, could do is debar and defund Planned Parenthood. That simple action, which isn't a gestational ban, because President Trump said he didn't want to talk about certain limits or prevention acts on abortion, but that simple act, which, by the way, Planned Parenthood is one of his biggest political enemies. It just came out last week that they violated federal law and let the Kamala Harris campaign in Florida set up shop in their taxpayer-funded health clinic. That act, I think, would actually save more lives than passing a Dismemberment Abortion Protection Act, which would, make it illegal to commit abortions on babies 16, 17, 18, and plus weeks. Those would save lives, but defunding Planned Parenthood would be massive. They end the lives of 392,000 children a year. They are the single largest abortion vendor in our country, and they're getting $700 million of our U.S. tax dollars. That's half of all of their funding is coming from us. So I think that's something we've got to be really loud and proud to demand that the Trump administration join us on. That is something that I think even pro-choice Republicans should say, yeah, it doesn't make sense why we're funding one of the biggest lobbying firms, one of the biggest player in Democratic politics with our taxpayer dollars, which, by the way, we don't need them because we already fund, as taxpayers, more than 8,000 federally qualified health centers. The pro-life movement operates more than 3,000 pregnancy centers and maternity homes, private, nonviolent health care alternatives. If every single Planned Parenthood in America location would shut down tomorrow, those centers would only need to see 2 more patients a week. So it's not like there would be a crisis of care. They should go fund themselves. And I think we should be very clear with the Trump administration. He's made some very bold executive orders, right?
Right. Firing
all DEI agents and officers in the country, telling all the government workers to come back to work. I mean, he's made some tough calls with some of these executive orders. Yes. Make another tough call, buddy. Defund Planned Parenthood.
Amen. It's interesting. I mean, for years, we've all been lied to as voters. I mean, from the public platform that actually taxpayer funding doesn't go to abortion, right? But you're speaking to the tune of $700 million. It does.
Yeah.
I do think that what you just articulated, by the way, is actual strategy. It's surgical, right? And so.
And it's a little hard. I'm not saying it's easy.
So you're looking for a university that's perfect for you, a school that has anything you could possibly need.
Anything?
You want a place that has the programs you want to study, and maybe a few more, just in case you change your mind.
I think I'm going to sign up for the fashion design program.
All right. A place with state-of-the-art facilities. I mean, look at this campus.
And who doesn't love big-time sports?
And great recreational activities.
Okay, now we're on a roll. Somewhere you can hike, slide, strike, shoot, climb, eat, and most importantly, eat. You want a place that takes you to space? Okay, maybe not, but we can teach you how to fly, or pastor a church, or run a business. And all that with a great view? Yeah, I think I know a place.
Absolutely. What do you, being basically the president of a student organization, one that's focused on students, on the next generation. What do you see as
The largest demographic in our electorate, by the way.
exactly
Not merely a student organization.
That's exactly right. I mean, in terms of voting population,
Yeah.
that's exactly right. Okay, lots of challenges there. I'm thinking of like Christian and non-Christian. Even in Christian categories, there's a lot of things that are difficult. One of the biggest challenges, I think, for Christians, young Christians especially, is they want to do all of this, but they don't want to engage in politics. So they want to say, I want to see an end to abortion. So I'm willing to go march, or I'm willing to go do this or that. And I think that's wonderful. Do it, please do it. But like, can we do all of this without? It's just yuck, right?
Well,
it's just
why
gross.
would you march if you don't? I mean, the reason we hold the march in Washington, D.C. is to show the people that are sitting on Capitol Hill not to forget about us and that we vote, right?
Right.
That's the reason why we continue to march, because the work isn't done yet. That's why the March for Life didn't just close up shop after Roe was reversed. We are there because of politics, demanding, because what we do every day in our communities, right? Serving women at the, whether it's praying in front of the abortion facility or serving and volunteering at the pregnancy center or the maternity home, that's pretty much unseen. And it's an actual problem we have in the pro-life movement. The studies that we have done, 75% of our neighbors don't know all the good work we do in the pro-life movement. It's very under the radar, and I think that's a shame, because I think that if Americans would know how much the pro-life movement loves, how much the pro-life movement serves, I know what we've seen at firsthand on campus is it would soften the minds of Americans to this issue, so that when you hit them with a harder fact, it would change their minds. The whole people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care approach. But the reason we march is because of those people on Capitol Hill. There's no silver bullet to ending abortion. And to say like, oh, well, I just do this, I don't want to be involved in dirty politics over here. No, as a pro-life activist, you have to be well-rounded. And we all have spiritual gifts. Yeah. We all have callings, right? I'm particularly gifted at one certain thing that most people think is, maybe obnoxious or can never imagine themselves. I enjoy being yelled at by people about this issue, right?
Right.
But I have a gift, and that's the gift that I've been called to use. And so your gift may not be going to Capitol Hill and lobbying or being particularly persuasive with a member of Congress, but you're called to at least be there. And when we put out the call at Students for Life of, hey, we're trying to pass a Life of Conception Act, for example, this term right now in South Carolina. We almost passed it 2 years ago. 3 Republican women killed the bill. Students for Life leaders who did not particularly care to do this went out, educated voters this summer, faced heat exhaustion, because South Carolina is no joke in June. All 3 of those Republican women were replaced by pro-life, 100% pro-life leaders who were then elected in November. We now have the votes we need to completely end abortion in South Carolina. And so I've had to convince some students of like, look, I know going door, especially for Gen Z, going door to door and having a face-to-face conversation with somebody is not exactly, I'm Gen Y and I hate to do that.
Can't you just use social media?
Yeah, you can't.
Right.
You can't. And so, the conversation I've had to have with students time and time again is, I know you may not love this, and this may not be your strongest gifting, but this is an important task. Just like educating your campus about nonviolent pregnancy centers, this is a part of what we do. And so we've got to go out, and sometimes in pro-life world and pro-life activism, we have to do things maybe we don't care to do or really, wake up passion to do, but we know it's strategically important. And they did it. And they saw the fruit of their work. And now we should, hopefully if the GOP leadership gets their act together in South Carolina, we'll end abortion in the state. And that's because a bunch of students who really didn't want to get involved in politics got involved in politics because they knew it was the strategic thing to do. Now they went back to campuses, they're serving women, they're changing minds of their peers about abortion because that's what they want to do, that's what they are passionate about doing, but they also sucked it up and did the hard thing that was also the strategic thing to do. And I think that's something we have to really ask ourselves in the pro-life movement sometimes is, if we're really doing this for those who can't speak for themselves, it's not just about what is the most fun thing for us to do. It's sometimes about what is the most impactful thing I can do? And, you know, I particularly, I don't feel extremely gifted at praying in front of abortion facilities. I have a hard time. My mind starts to wander. I have you know, it's a very emotional for me to be out there, but it's important for me to be out there because sometimes if I'm out there, I may be the only person she sees before she enters that abortion facility. And so it's not something I want to do, but it's something I must do.
I'm reminded of the fact that just this week, Cecil Richards passed away, age 67, inoperable brain cancer of some sort. I'm a Texan, native Texan. I do remember.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, right? And I remember her mother, Ann Richards, the last Democratic governor in the state of Texas, going all the way back to the 1990s. George Bush ran against her, and there's been Republican governors ever since. Texas then went from blue to red. But interestingly enough, she was there for 12 years. It's estimated some 4 million or more. I mean, we don't know exactly the number. It's what's reported, but abortions took place that she oversaw. How is the abortion machine attempting to sort of reach this next generation, knowing all the shifts that are taking place?
Well, I mean, I think the battle that the pro-life movement, I think, has been a little bit behind on has been the battle over chemical abortion pills. Yeah. I still get questions from pro-lifers all the time. Oh, isn't that the birth control pill or the morning after pill? No, it's not. You know, the birth control pill, the morning after pill, which is a 10 times dose of the birth control pill, the intended goal of those pills is to stop ovulation, stop the egg from being released. Can those pills potentially cause an early abortion? Yes. And we know that. It's been on the back of the Plan B packaging for years, right? If breakthrough ovulation occurs, if the egg is fertilized, a human being is created, and then cannot implant into the uterine wall an early abortion. They can cause an abortion. We don't know how often it is, and it would be unethical to test that. Chemical abortion is different. Chemical abortion pills are taken with the direct intention of killing the baby. The baby that's already alive, that's already implanted in the uterine wall, that is living, right? It's a 2-pill cocktail. The first pill stops progesterone, which is the hormone that feeds the baby. So it's going to starve the baby first. And the second pill causes contractions. The second pill can be used when a woman's had a tragic miscarriage. So often you'll hear abortion advocates trying to confuse terms, go, oh, we use that for miscarriages. No, you use the second pill, miscarriages, if a woman, you know, her baby has died inside of her, and if she doesn't want to get a DNC to remove the dead child and pregnancy tissue, she can take this pill. So it's a 2-pill cocktail. First pill kills, second pill expels. And it's something that I think the pro-life movement's been kind of behind on. We focus a lot on the brick and mortar facilities. You can see those abortion facilities. You drive by those abortion facilities in your community. Chemical abortion pills are being sold now because of the Biden administration's reckless FDA. Actually, in December of 2021, so December 1st, 2021 was the hearing on Dobbs. I was there. We camped out overnight. It was, speaking of cold, it was freaking cold. And it was raining and sleeting and everything. So the hearing is on December 1st. Anyone with a brain who heard the hearing, read the transcript, knew, oh my gosh, Roe versus Wade's going to probably go. I mean, the pro-abortion movement did not bring their A game. I think I probably could have argued better than.
By the way, we were there with 1,000 students.
There you go. That's right. You guys showed up. Thank God. Thank God for liberty, because okay, that's a whole.
They looked out the window and saw.
That's that's a whole new thing. That's a whole different podcast, right? Yeah. We were so grateful for that. So then that same month, right before Christmas, the FDA gets rid of all of the REMS on chemical abortion pills. They issue an edict saying the risk evaluation mitigation strategies that the Clinton administration, that the pro-abortion Obama administration had put in place, that's saying that a woman who takes these pills has to at least be seen to confirm she's pregnant, to make sure she's not experiencing a life-threatening ectopic pregnancy, to make sure she's not Rh negative, because if she's Rh negative and our baby's blood is Rh positive, if there's a miscarriage, birth, or abortion, commingling of blood, antibodies will form in her body that will attack all future pregnancies, so she never can carry to term another child again. These were all common sense things that pro-abortion administration said, if you're going to distribute these pills, doctors, you have to protect women. So we don't care. They didn't care if babies were dying, but they didn't want women to die. They didn't want women to be rendered infertile. The Biden administration FDA, in the name of access, got rid of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
All of it. So now a midwife in New York City, in her basement, can ship chemical abortion pills to a 15-year-old in Texas, even though Texas has made abortion illegal. Oklahoma, West Virginia, Indiana, we can go to all these states that have acted with courage to end abortion. Abortions are still happening in those states because rando people in their basements. I was actually juxtaposed with a woman who in New York State went on national TV. She was in the same, I think it was CBS or ABC news package with me, didn't even blur out her face, told the whole world she and her neighbors who weren't healthcare professionals were shipping chemical abortion pills to states across the country. And she felt okay to do this because the governor of New York said they wouldn't prosecute.
Right.
Because the Biden DOJ said that Comstock Act, the federal law that was passed in 1890, which prohibits the mailing of abortion materials in the mail, the DOJ said, oh, don't worry. They literally issued a memo saying, we just won't enforce federal law. Mm-hmm. So these people are sending chemical abortion pills to girls, to sex predators, because they're not even confirming it's a woman. So a rapist can order these pills. They're not doing any medical testing on the girls to make sure they're not experiencing a life-threatening ectopic pregnancy, to make sure they're not under medical duress. These girls are getting the pills, and the emergency rooms are having to deal with the fallout across the country. And so that's the challenge with chemical abortion pills. It doesn't matter what state you live in, abortions are happening.
Yeah.
Young women are being harmed. About 1 in 15 to 1 in 20 girls will end up in the emergency room with severe bleeding, hemorrhaging, life-threatening complications with these pills. The doctors that are treating these women have no idea what they've taken, who sent them the drugs. These women are being told to sit on the toilet or get in the bathtub and flush and not to look down. The humans that are being aborted are going right into our wastewater system. These drugs, the first pill I mentioned in the chemical abortion cocktail, contains endocrine disruptors. That there's 3 active metabolites in these pills that do not go inactive after they pass through the woman's body. So when she is passing her child placental tissue into the toilet bowl and flushing, doing what she's doing, not looking down, flushing, not only are human remains entering our wastewater, but 3 active metabolites that are known endocrine disruptors that stop progesterone. So anyone who's trying to get pregnant or stay pregnant cares about this hormone, is entering our wastewater. And we have actually proven that when the wastewater goes to our wastewater treatment plants, it's not being cleaned out. It's actually in our tap drinking water, these known endocrine disruptors. And we're now talking about hundreds of thousands of abortions a year happening through chemical abortion pills. Planned Parenthood prescribes them. Rando people in basements are prescribing them. People in Mexico and India, you can go, it takes 30 seconds, if you're somewhat proficient on your phone, to order chemical abortion pills from anywhere across the world. You're talking about tons of fetal remains and endocrine disruptors entering our water every year. And so that's something that, speaking of trying to find common ground with this Trump administration, right? There's been a lot of concerns about RFK Jr. being nominated for Health and Human Service Secretary. And it's concerning as a pro-life advocate, right? We don't have a strong pro-lifer there. However, I'm very excited for him to be confirmed because I know he cares about making America healthy again.
Right.
And making America healthy again, I think, would start at least with having clean drinking water and having known endocrine disruptors that violate EPA standards that the Biden administration knows is a problem, that the Clinton FDA never even tested for, never did the required environmental testing. I think that's going to be a common ground issue, that you don't have to be anti-abortion. You don't have to consider yourself to be pro-life to say, I don't want to be drinking the remains of human children and known endocrine disruptors in my drinking water. That's just like a common sense thing that all Americans should be united on.
Wow. It's incredible. And I think there are vast majority of people have no clue what you just said.
I know. I know. I was like, too early for this, Kristan.
That's like shocking. That's incredible. It's astounding. It's disgusting. But it's honest, and that's more people need to hear this, right? And I think there are a lot of people in the church who have no clue about this. Golly. So, by the way,
You asked me a hard question, so I'm giving you hard replies.
That's
Good
great.
luck
No,
as the interviewer.
This is great. This is great because it's important to understand this. And by the way, we don't take our drinking water for granted. We have our own. We use Berkey and other things to filter.
The Biden FDA said those were illegal.
Right. Well,
there's like a black market for Berkeys now.
That's exactly right. We had to actually get our second set of filters through another company. By the way, what you just described, though, in terms of the chemical abortion, I mean, golly, it's not hard for me to remember because I was alive 4 years ago, but they were going after doctors. They were going to pull medical licenses from doctors just for giving ivermectin. I mean, not kidding. I mean, they were going to throw people in jail.
Yeah, that's right.
If they had any audacity to do anything other than the government's prescribed way of treating COVID-19. And so we remember that. And so, there's people that will violate the law with impunity. They don't care.
No, yeah.
And there's no repercussions whatsoever. I think there's a lot that can be done, even obviously in Texas and Oklahoma and Florida, to even go after that. But it might be politically unpopular.
Yeah, I mean, they're still threatening to take away. I was talking to some pro-life OBGYNs. There's a national organization called APLOG. So if you're a woman who needs OB care, go to APLOG, AAPLOG.com.org, and they have a directory of over 1,000 pro-life OBGYNs, which it's getting hard to find pro-life OBGYNs in our country. But APLOG often sends their doctors to testify when we introduce pro-life legislation because people were like, well, I want to talk to a doctor. You're not a doctor, Kristan. So I'm like, okay, I'll have the doctor tell you the exact same thing I'm telling you. So these doctors will come and testify, look, abortion's not medically necessary. This is the harm of abortion. This is how you actually save a woman's life if she's experiencing a life-threatening condition, not killing her baby or delivering her baby, the ethical, caring, humane thing to do. They're threatening to take away those doctors' medical licenses now. Simply just being pro-life and putting your name out there as a doctor, they're taking away. There's also something called a chemical abortion pill reversal process, which basically just is a high amount of progesterone. So that first pill in chemical abortion cocktail, if you've taken the first pill, which is a progesterone blocker, the doctor will do something they do with women who they think might be miscarrying and give high doses of progesterone to try to counteract that blocker. It's simple. It's used for women who have wanted pregnancies, who are having trouble staying pregnant, right? Who've had miscarriages. And so it's a protocol that's well known. In states like Colorado, they're threatening to take away doctors' medical license for just simply prescribing progesterone to stop the chemical abortion process if she regrets taking that first pill. And it actually saves lives. It doesn't harm women. It saves maybe 40 to 60% of the women who regret taking the first pill before they've taken the second pill. But yeah, I mean, and I think this is what President Trump understands so acutely now of lawfare and a weaponized government. When you have a U.S. government who operates with prejudice towards the abortion industry, this is the type of antics you can expect.
No. Absolutely. By the way, they're over there. They're giving me the time call. But I want to, as we wrap, because you're going to have to go speak in front of 10,000 students here in a moment. I just want to, in closing, what would be your number one message for that next generation critical that you're trying to reach? I know that the left is trying to reach them. They're trying to recruit them. And we are trying to win hearts and minds. You're doing a fantastic job of that. What's your message to them?
Well, I think the first message is you were created by the ultimate creator. Your life has value and your life has purpose. And I think that's a message that I, for one, take for granted. That I think that everyone that knows that, they don't. Especially on college campuses. I think that is the underlying crux of all of the problems that we see, is that we have a generation of young kids who've never stepped foot in a church. My generation, Even if your parents didn't go to church, you were drugged to VBS,
Yeah.
right? Your grandparents forced you. There was free, daycare in the summer at the church. Everyone kind of went to church. We have a generation of kids who have never stepped foot in a church, never stepped foot in a parish. That's a problem. They don't know the gospel story. I assume everyone kind of knows the gospel story. There was this guy named Jesus. No, they don't know. So I think that's the first message. And then my message to those who are like, yeah, I got that. That was easy. The next message is, what was the purpose you were created for? And that's really the message I'll be giving today to the students here at Liberty. I'm not here to give them a lecture about why abortion is bad, or I really shouldn't have to break their hearts on abortion, right? I hope their hearts are already broken on abortion. Yeah. But after praying about it for a while, my question was to myself is, what can I say to convince this generation to join us in this battle? If you look at all the social movements throughout American history, and there's been many, one thing from all of them is true. The side that's victorious, not only do they have God on their side, I would argue, but the side that is victorious always has the largest, most well-trained, and most activated army. That is the role that Students for Life America is uniquely called to play in the pro-life movement. There's so many important pro-life organizations and pro-life leaders and niches you have to work in, to end abortion. The role we have is to equip and to grow this army of love. Because if we don't have the largest, most well-trained army, we won't have pro-life doctors, we won't have pro-life lawyers, we won't have pro-life politicians, we won't have pregnancy center volunteers, pregnancy center maternity home founders, we won't have new innovators, social media influencers. We won't have any of that because we won't have the army. And so I think my message to students today really is, if you know you were created by the ultimate creator in his image, that you have intrinsic value and dignity, and you now know that you've got to do something about that, right? The Lord's Prayer asks us to bring heaven's values here to earth. What are you going to do to bring heaven's values here to this earth? And I think there's nothing greater you can do than to speak up for those also created in his image, the most vulnerable in our society.
Amen. Beautifully said. Thank you so much. Kristan, we really appreciate you, and we're praying for you. And certainly, we hope to see many, many more join the cause for life. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, did you find this helpful? I hope you did. Please like and subscribe, share with a friend, and also go to standingforfreedom.com, where you can find more content, articles, podcasts, and our Theology of Politics series, all at standingforfreedom.com.